Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of Codo's Cinema. That's right, Codo's Cinema is back. And today we're going to do my top 10 favorite movie trilogies of all time. I'm your host, Mark Codo. Now, just to be clear, I am only doing movies based on trilogies, meaning like there are going to be 3 movies in a trilogy. Now, I am not including fourth installments unless they fall into a certain category of a prequel trilogy, a sequel trilogy, or any type of trilogy. And fourth installments will be another day. Okay? Sounds pretty good. Okay, we'll be going on at number 10. We're going to start off at number 10. Okay. All right, I'm pretty sure some of you guys may figure what number 10 is going to be about. All right, here we go. I'm going to start right now. All right, number 10, the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Okay, I know I'm probably going to get a lot of criticism for this, for including a couple of prequel trilogies on this list. Now, just to be fair, I don't have anything against prequel trilogies, and I never did. I consider the prequel trilogies to be pretty good, even though they tend to have a few duds. Now, Star Wars prequel trilogy is a perfect example of a prequel trilogy. And I'm going to start. All right, so basically, the Star Wars prequel trilogies includes episodes 1 through 3, and they are basically the prequels of the original Star Wars trilogy. And with episode 1 is considered to be the least favorite of the Star Wars franchise. Despite being a fourth installment, it still serves as the first installment for the prequel trilogy. And while yes, episode 1 may be the weakest, but I do enjoy episode 1, and it's got some good action sequences, including the final lightsaber battle between Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Qui-Gon Jinn. Even though, yes, Jar Jar Binks and Anakin Skywalker are considered to be the lowest points of the film. And while episode 2 serves a slight improvement with Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, including the setup of the Clone Wars, but episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, is considered to be the best of the prequel trilogies, completing the prequel trilogies while setting up episode 4, A New Hope, in the original Star Wars trilogy. Now all three episodes are directed by George Lucas, including which they are written, but hey, the action sequences, the musical score by John Williams, the characters are all great. I really enjoyed the Star Wars prequel trilogies, despite the flaws that it has. And that's why it's at my number 10. All right, moving forward. Number 9, The Hobbit trilogy. So just like the Star Wars prequel trilogies, the Hobbit trilogy is basically based on one book. And with the one book, for some of you guys may not know, now this one book is divided up into 3 movies, which is kind of losing people's minds when it comes to like making prequel trilogies based off of one book. Now, I really, really do enjoy the Hobbit trilogy, and that's why it's considered to be my one of my favorite prequel trilogies. Now, to be fair, this is the last of the prequel trilogies that I'm doing, because later on the list is going to be original trilogies. All right, continuing on. Now, The Hobbit, starting with the first Hobbit film. Now, actually, scratch that. Now, The Hobbit is basically about a hobbit named Bilbo Baggins, who goes on a quest with Gandalf and a company of 13 dwarves led by Thorin Oakenshield to reclaim the homeland of Erebor and the Lonely Mountain from the dragon Smaug, while being pursued by orcs. Now, that's basically the point. That's basically the general idea of what the movie is. The entire trilogy is about. Now, like I said, it's divided into 3 movies. So basically, the first Hobbit movie, called The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey, it does open up with Bilbo Baggins beginning his journey with the 13 dwarves to head over to the Lonely Mountain, or should I say Erebor. While the first film, they did pursue orcs goblins, wargs, and elves, and they actually did a pretty good job with this movie while setting up the idea of what the first Hobbit movie is going to be about. Now, moving forward, the second Hobbit movie, The Desolation of Smaug, which is basically a continuation of the Hobbit trilogy. It continues on with the dwarves going on their adventure while being pursued by orcs, including their leader Ozog the Defiler, as well as being pursued by the elves in the Mirkwood Woods. Now, this one's actually interesting because the elves have been enemies with the dwarves for a very long time, and the Hobbit trilogy does connect something between the dwarves and elves as enemies. Now, moving forward, they did enter Erebor while facing off against the dragon Smaug, which is being voiced and doing motion capture performance by Benedict Cumberbatch. And the dragon itself is very intimidating and cool, and man, an amazing villain to have in the Hobbit trilogy. With a cliffhanger that leaves audiences on the edge of their seats, which literally got me surprised. That actually sets up the third Hobbit movie, The Battle of the Five Armies, which literally ends the Hobbit trilogy with a huge battle. Not just a battle between Smaug, which spoiler alert, in the opening of the third Hobbit movie, he gets killed by Bard the Bowman. For those of you who have read the book, Bard the Bowman's the one who kills Smaug with the black arrow. Now, continuing forward, there is a huge battle in the movie between the men, elves, dwarves, orcs, and eagles. Now, yes, there's basically more armies in there, but overall, it does have a nice conclusion because it literally sets up the Lord of the Rings. Not to mention, I forgot to mention the One Ring, which was basically one of the key plot points that literally sets up the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And that's why the Hobbit trilogy is considered to be one of my favorites of my top 10 favorite movie trilogies. Now I'm going to move forward. All right, number 8, the Marvel's Thor trilogy. The superhero genre has no shortage of standalone trilogies, and Thor is no exception. That's right. Now, the first Thor movie came out in 2011, which literally does set up for future Marvel movies. Now, Chris Hemsworth plays the Thor, the god of thunder. And to be fair though, I really enjoy the first Thor movie. It literally does set the tone. Now, I know a lot of people have said the tone's basically different. It did take a Shakespearean direction, which fun fact, it's directed by Kenneth Branagh, and basically the first Thor movie is basically kind of like a Shakespearean tale, and it does a very good job while also setting up future films. Now it did had his fair share of moments, and his brother Loki, played by Tom Hiddleston, is the villain in this movie, which I think he did a very good job. Did a very good job portraying Loki, and then it sets up the Avenger movies, which he literally was the main villain. Loki was the main villain in the first Avengers movie. Okay, continuing on. In the second Thor movie, yes, the second Thor movie is considered to be one of the weakest Marvel Cinematic Universe movies of all time. Now, it's not saying that. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad movie. No, it's actually a pretty good movie despite its flaws. And yes, and we had an unforgettable villain in Thor: The Dark World, but I really do enjoy it. Enjoy Thor: The Dark World because of the action sequences and visual effects. Especially the final battle where Thor and Malekith are going through the portals, and I think it's pretty cool. Pretty cool of how their final battle was set up. And the third Thor film literally sets up Avengers Infinity War. Now, the third Thor movie had a different tone, and it felt more lighthearted and a comedy since the third Thor movie was directed by Taika Waititi, who also played Korg, one of the new characters in the third Thor movie, Thor Ragnarok. Now, Now, I really do enjoy Thor Ragnarok because not only does it set up Avengers Infinity War, but literally the plot itself was literally very good. They literally set the plot pretty good by inserting the Ragnarok plot, while also putting in the planet Hulk storyline with its villain Hela, played by Kate Blanchett. She literally stole the show by playing an excellent villain, the goddess of death. And literally everything about Thor 3 was literally amazing, from the casting to writing to the plot. Like everything in that movie was pretty good. And that's my conclusion of the Thor trilogy. All right, moving forward, number 7, Toy Story trilogy. All right, just like the superhero genre, the animation genre has no shortage of its fair share of trilogies, and especially with Disney and Pixar. Now, this Toy Story is one of Pixar's greatest animated films of all time. Started with the first Toy Story movie that came out in 1995. Fun fact: one of the writers for Toy Story was Josh Whedon, who co-wrote the first Toy Story movie, who also went on to direct the first 2 Avengers movie. Now, Toy Story was literally a great animated movie of all time. Literally, the voice casting of Tom Hanks and Tim Allen was amazing, literally amazing. Like, the first movie describes what a being an actual toy and being real life really is. And the second movie continues with that, with Woody being kidnapped by Al, who was a toy store owner of Al's toy barn or toy farm or something. I think it's called Al's Toy Barn. Yes, and it literally continues with the friendship between Woody and Buzz, while meeting up with new characters. And continue on, the third film that came out in 2010. Yes, 2010. Toy Story 3 came out in 2010, literally completing the trilogy on a high note, while learning the meaning of what it means to be a toy, to be there for your kid as well. Well, even though they did ended up going to Sunnyside, like, in the beginning, and ended up being donated to a new owner, it's still a lighthearted and a good movie in Toy Story 3, and literally the trilogy. And I feel like the trilogy itself was very good. It literally ended on a high note after Toy Story 3, even though Toy Story 4 came out this year. I still consider the first 3 Toy Story movies to be an amazing trilogy for Disney and Pixar. All right, and that's why it's considered to be one of my favorite trilogies at number 7. All right, moving forward. Number 6, Back to the Future. All right, guys, we are going Back to the Future. That's right, the Back to the Future trilogy, starting all the way in 1985. All right, 1985 was the first Back to the Future movie, which was directed by Robert Zemeckis, with star power of Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd as Marty McFly and Dr. Emmett Brown. Now, the first Back to the Future trilogy is considered to be a classic among many moviegoers and sci-fi fans. Now I know the second film kind of dipped a little bit, but it still delivered plenty of visuals, actions, and the chemistry between Michael J. Fox and Dr. Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd as Marty McFly and Dr. Emmett Brown, and literally everything is really good in that trilogy. Now, continuing forward with the third Back to the Future movie, taking place in the Old West, ending the trilogy on an amazing, epic, and high note. And literally, what I like about the Back to the Future trilogy is the memorable characters, the musical score by the musical score by Alan Silvestri. Literally, the most memorable part of the film is when Marty McFly and Biff Tannen go at it, like each Back to the Future movie. Biff Tannen and Marty McFly literally go at it with each other. Man, that's literally one of the best moments in the films, especially the flying DeLorean, including Christopher Lloyd's Dr. Emmett Brown's moments in there, and that's why Back to the Future is considered to be my number 6 of favorite top 10 movie trilogies of all time. All right, moving forward, number 5, The Dark Knight Trilogy. The Dark Knight Trilogy is considered to be one of the greatest superhero trilogies of all time. Spoiler alert, this will not be the last. And the Dark Knight Trilogy is directed by legendary filmmaker Christopher Nolan, who directed all 3 Dark Knight movies. Now, the first movie, Batman Begins, which is basically the first installment of the Dark Knight Trilogy, kicks off the trilogy with a different tone, origin story, and literally restarting the whole Batman franchise after the disappointment, which is Batman and Robin back in 1997. But the Dark Knight Trilogy literally set the tone for future superhero movies. And speaking of which, The Dark Knight is considered to be one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, because of the tone itself, as well as the direction by Christopher Nolan, including Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker. His performance was literally the most memorable part of the film, and to which he won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, including the Oscar for Best for, I think it was one of the sound effects that he won for. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah. And then continuing and concluding with the trilogy is The Dark Knight Rises, which literally concludes the Dark Knight Trilogy. Bane was another amazing villain. Tom Hardy plays Bane. He did an amazing job in that movie as the villain. And I thought the conclusion to the Dark Knight Trilogy was great. All 3 movies in general, from the direction to the casting, performance, characters, the musical score by Hans Zimmer, literally amazing, and that's why I consider it to be the Dark Knight Trilogy to be the top 5 trilogies on my list. All right, moving forward, number 4, the Despicable Me Trilogy. Now, the Despicable Me Trilogy, which is another animated film like Toy Story, but by a different studio, which is by Universal. The Despicable Me Trilogy is a trilogy of the Minions, and including their leader, Gru, voiced by Steve Carell. Now, I really loved the Despicable Me Trilogy, because not just the animation, but the characters, including the voice acting, and I really enjoyed their sequels. Their sequels are literally amazing. I thought the third one was also pretty good too. They had Trey Parker from South Park to play Balthazar Brat in the third Despicable Me movie, and I thought he was a great villain in Despicable Me. And while the first Despicable Me movie had Vector, voiced by Jason Segel, and the second villain, El Macho, being voiced by Benjamin, I think I'm saying this right, Benjamin Brat. Yeah, I believe that's how I'm saying it correctly. Yeah, I really love of how it's between how Gru became a villain, but later transitioned to being a good guy for his adopted daughters throughout the trilogy. And while everything about Despicable Me is good in general, I really, really enjoy the premise, plot, characters, everything about it. About Despicable Me is great, and that's why it's considered to be my number 4 in my top 10 favorite trilogies. All right, moving forward to the top 3. Number 3, Captain America Trilogy. Okay, last of the superhero trilogies, I promise. The Captain America Trilogy is literally one of the greatest MCU standalone trilogies of all time. Now, that's just my thought. Now, starting with the first Captain America movie, it literally takes place during World War II, where Captain America goes up against the organization Hydra, which was led by Johann Schmidt, aka the Red Skull, and the first Captain America movie literally sets up the first Avengers film while also setting up future Captain America movies, which includes The Winter Soldier and Civil War. Now I feel like the trilogy for Captain America is great. It's literally great because of the fact of how the tone of each Captain America movie sets up. Basically in the second Captain America movie, the tone is dark, like literally dark. Like you're like watching a spy thriller movie. Not to mention the plot twist where S.H.I.E.L.D. is actually Hydra all along, including Captain America's friend Bucky Barnes is the Winter Soldier. Continuing with the third Captain America movie, Civil War, which is literally Captain America going up against like the Avengers all out, where the Avengers are going up against each other. That film, Captain America Civil War, literally sets the tone for future Marvel movies because the Avengers were literally divided in the third Captain America movie. And that's like literally what I like about the Captain America trilogy is basically the tone, characters, and Chris Evans' performance as Captain America is literally amazing performance. All right. Moving forward, number 2, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I am there and back again. That's right. I went from number 9, the Hobbit trilogy, to the Lord of the Rings. That is right. Number 2 is the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and now I literally grew up watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy back in high school. Like literally, I really enjoyed the Lord of the Rings because of the memorable characters, which includes Frodo Baggins, Gandalf the Grey, Legolas, Samwise Gamgee, Pippin, Merry, many great characters, even Gollum, including the performances of Elijah Wood, Ian McKellen, Andy Serkis, Kate Blanchett, Orlando Bloom, so many others, so many stars in that trilogy alone. Literally amazing to have an amazing all-star cast, especially in the musical score by Howard Shore, the art direction, visual effects, the story itself. Like literally all 3 movies, the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, the Return of the King, all based off of their books. Like literally the 3 books and 3 movies. Literally amazing. With the Return of the King winning the Oscar for Best Picture, as well as other nominees, winning 11 Academy Awards. That is literally a record-breaking streak for the third Lord of the Rings movies, and that's why the Lord of the Rings trilogy is considered to be my favorites in the top 2 trilogy. My favorites in the top 2 for top 10 favorite trilogies of all time. All right. Number 1, the original Star Wars trilogy. Long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there was the original Star Wars trilogy. By taking the top spot is the trilogy that literally kickstarted an amazing franchise for generations of fans. And wow, we can agree the original trilogy of Star Wars is literally literally considered to be the most memorable and best trilogies of all time. In my opinion, it's considered to be my number 1. And while we can agree the special editions of the original trilogies are different, but there's no denying that the original is considered to be the best. With Star Wars, aka Episode 4: A New Hope, literally introducing us to Darth Vader, capturing Princess Leia with Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Obi-Wan Kenobi rescuing the princess in the first Star Wars movie, with Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, setting the tone, including an amazing twist where Darth Vader is revealed to be Luke Skywalker's father, and of course, Return of the Jedi, and ending the original trilogy, defeating the Empire. Now, basically, what I like about the original Star Wars trilogy is the characters, including the performances of Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, Harrison Ford as Han Solo, who later went on to do Indiana Jones, Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, Alec Guinness. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing this correctly. Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and James Earl Jones as Darth Vader, the voice of Darth Vader. Man, literally amazing. Including John Williams' musical score for all 3 Star Wars movies, with George Lucas directing the original Star Wars movie, while other directors did take over for the sequels. I literally find it amazing of how the original Star Wars trilogy was brought to life in an exciting way, and it's set in a galaxy far, far away with amazing visuals, art direction, like I said, musical score, characters, everything that I like about the original Star Wars trilogy, and that's why it's considered to be my number 1 in my top 10 favorite movie trilogies of all time. All right, and there you have it. My top 10 favorite movie trilogies of all time. What do you think? You think I could have added any more original trilogies? Well, there could have been more. I mean, this list I had was a huge competition for trilogies. I mean, there was so much more to add in for to make a top 10 favorite movie trilogy. But anyway, this is just basically the top 10 that I had. It's just basically my favorites in my opinion. So anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in to Codo's Cinema, and I will see you all later. Have a good Monday afternoon, and have a great week to all of you, to everyone at EIU, including outside of EIU. Have a good Monday afternoon, and have a great week.